Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. I'm very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. And welcome to Thursday's edition of the DCEU Daily. I'm about to say something that sounds really unrelated to the DCEU, but it's not. HBO have said that they've commented, they've made an official statement on the petition to remake Season 8 of Game of Thrones. HBO is owned by Warner Brothers. HBO referenced this. Now, of course, the Game of Thrones Season 8 remake petition is something that can be easily tossed to one side. And basically, all they said was, very passionate, group of fans, but, final seasons are hard and we never considered it, right? But they referenced it. They spoke about it. They spoke about it because it's easy to dismiss it. And the reason that they won't admit that there's a version of the Snyder Cut, and the reason why they won't say, do you know what, we're considering, you know what, we ain't doing this. We released a version of Justice League, that's it. They're not reacting to any of it because they can't. They literally can't because they don't have a leg to stand on. They know they stabbed Zack in the back. They know their behaviour was reprehensible, right? And they can't look. Big companies and especially studios always find a way to spin themselves out of a situation. And the thing is with the Snyder Cut, they can't spin their way out of it. It's gone too big now. Everyone's talking about it. And with kind of gritted teeth, eventually they're going to have to let Zack, put this movie together so it can be released. And plus, they know they're going to make a lot of money. I don't know when this will happen or if it will happen. I believe it's going to happen because, look, it's patience. We've waited this long, nearly 2 years now. It may be another couple of years. It's depressing, isn't it, really? Because we should see this film as soon as possible, but it isn't going to happen. But what I'm saying to you is don't expect some kind of big announcement on the release of the Snyder Cut movement, on anything, because they don't have a leg to stand on. Possibly by coming out and saying we're not doing this, they could literally lose so many customers. And they can't afford to do that. They're launching a very valuable streaming service. They want it to work. They can't drive one body away from the studio. It's a very difficult time for the studio right now. New CEO, she's come in. She's got to do some internal investigations, because she's just taken over and she has to see what's going on. And one of those internal investigations, as my sources told me, and it has been confirmed, is that, Ann Sarnoff, the new CEO, is doing an internal investigation about what happened during Justice League before and after Zack Snyder was involved. And those findings, when they come out, I shall let you know. Yes. It's all very interesting stuff, isn't it? But yeah, I think people will be saying, well, if HBO, a company owned by Warner Brothers, can make an announcement about a fan petition to remake a season, why can't Warner Brothers make an announcement about the Snyder Cut? Because they're not ready to release this thing. They're not ready to say, okay, then. They can't come out and say no, because as I say, it's a very difficult time for them. New CEO and this streaming service is extremely important to them. So I'm very, very excited. I'm also very excited about Joker movie, which is not part of the DCEU, but it's a film I'm really looking forward to you lot seeing so we can finally discuss it. Because as I say, this really is going to be a game changer. Kevin Feige and Alan Horn and Bob Iger will not know where to look. It will be a situation they can't compete with, where you've got a kind of DCEU, which is a kind of, not much, but a connective universe to a point, and then you've got these black label movies that can do whatever the hell they want. It's something really that Disney can't really do, and even if they attempted to do it, it could become very messy. Already, the animals in the zoo are becoming restless because there are mumblings of discontent about that, about their latest list of films that were released at San Diego. Because, as I say, it wasn't the most exciting, was it? We didn't hear about Hulk. We didn't hear about Spider-Man. And the truth is, how sad is it that you can't tease a film with Robert Downey Jr. in it anymore? Look, these are sad times. and it's very interesting to see how far they can go without Iron Man, and I mean Stark's Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, but we're not here to talk about them. They're boring, and they're certainly boring now. But I think Warner Brothers and DC and the DCEU and all their catalogue of DC World films have got a great opportunity now. Because as I said, we have got a superior slate. It's not an official slate really, but Warner Brothers don't do slates really. But we know what's coming. We know that Andy Machetti's The Flash, starring Ezra Miller, and a story by Ezra Miller as well, will go into production next year, so that's very exciting. And there's about another 5 movies in production next year as well. So, as I say, things are moving within the DCEU. I think this was the plan, to quickly get to a situation where they can make a bunch of films. So they've got, I mean, who knows? In 2021, we could literally have 3 or 4 movies. Who knows? It's very, very exciting. We know the Batman's coming in 2021. We know the Suicide Squad's coming in 2021. That's for sure. So again, you've got that Batman universe covered, haven't you? So I'm really excited for the future of the DCEU. And you know, if you're watching this video, you're interested in the DCEU, and you should be excited too. And I just love the fact that that fan said, it goes to James Gunn. If James Gunn replies to my tweet, he said, that means he can save the DCEU. James Gunn did indeed reply and said, well, I don't think it needs saving. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And no, it's not about the DCEU needing saving. As you know, I'm a big fan of what came before with Zack Snyder and his plan and his art. I think it's a case of doing great individually focused character films, but bringing in a mainstream audience who can enjoy the hell out of these films, so Warner Brothers can make as much money as possible. It's a business at the end of the day. So it's a balancing act. So it's not about saving the universe, but it certainly is about making it more viable for a mainstream audience. You can't have a DC universe of films that the mainstream audience turn their backs on. You can't. The money potential in DC live action is so big, you can't do it. You can't allow that to carry on. You can't have a bunch of films that divide audiences when DC should be making more money than Marvel. They have the potential to do it, and they can still make the different kind of movies. The problem is these days, especially with bloggers and pundits and critics, the way they judge comic book movies are on how many bright colours they see, how many jokes are in the movie, how much fun it is. And that's the thing that you're up against. But once you break that mold and you can make any superhero you want, so you've got this DCEU, which can be more mainstream, but then you've got this DC Black Label who can, as I say, can do whatever the fuck they want. That's what really excites me. It's this balancing act of kind of having a varied bunch of films, and I think this is what Walter Hamada is doing, and that excites me a great deal.